Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to a video. All right, today we're gonna get right into this. We're gonna look at an artist named Valentin Secher. He's really, really good. I've been a fan of his work for probably about 12 or 13 years. I actually first saw his work online before he had even done any graphic novels. So before Call, before Metabaron, I just happened to stumble upon his blog, and he was really, really good. He looked to be influenced by some of the stuff that Travis had done, and I've always liked his stuff. And I thought, I felt like I may have done a video of his work before, but I couldn't remember. So this is digitally colored, but believe it or not, he actually does draw like this. So when you see his drawings, you'll be pretty blown away by like the level of quality. He's definitely known now online. He's working on a Conan book right now. But yeah, he was like this hidden gem that was really, really popular over in Europe, and was not really known as much over here in the United States. That is, not that that's a big deal, but you know, anyway. But yeah, I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. So this is from an art dealer site, just I found online. I was checking out Valentin's work over the weekend, and after the extreme video, funny enough, I needed a reboot and get into something more heavy duty. And I was looking at Juan Jimenez, and I was like, you know what? I should break out Setcher's stuff. But yeah, he's really, really good. It's absolutely insane. He's got some great videos on his Instagram channel. I'll have a link to it, but you definitely got to watch this guy. Like, he's sort of a Luis LaRosa, Riccardo Federici like level artist, where they're almost like cyborgs. They're so good. But he definitely has, in some ways, a cartoony quality to his stuff too. He knows he's going to be coloring it. This is from the Conan book. This is the most recent stuff. And he's even been doing some traditionally painted stuff. This I don't believe is, but look at this freaking art. This guy's a madman. But yeah, if you ever want like a good detail fix of fantasy and sci-fi, Secher just might be your guy. He does it all really good, and he's young. That's the thing. Secher's 34. I'd call that young because the thing is this dude was kicking ass when he was in his early 20s. I mean, he really is almost like a protege in a weird way. I don't know his background completely. He looked to have come maybe from illustration, or he may have studied illustration, but he's the full package. But yeah, when you're working and you're drawing, it's always good to have like I don't know if you call it role models, but just like something to aspire to, something maybe fresh too, something new that you're looking at that's different than the stuff that you look at. It's not exactly what you would do, but hits a lot of the notes in a similar vein. Secher is kind of that guy for me, I think, right now. I'm really digging his work, but it's quite different than how I would work. But at the same time, I find it incredibly inspiring to see someone doing such great comic work. This is hand drawn, penciled, inked, and again digitally colored. But he can traditionally color like a badass too. So, and he gives you there's step by steps on his Instagram. It's absolutely insane to watch this guy ink. I mean, I know they're sped up, but he's like a cyborg when he inks. It's absolutely insane. This is coming from someone that's inked a lot. Inked a lot of shit. This guy goes into beast mode with this huge quill he uses. He uses brush too, but yeah, man, this is great. Man, those guys are getting pounded. Yeah, so he's got 4 issues or four hardcover books of Conan that are out. Man, that's great. Jeez Louise. So what I'm talking about, like this is more detail than I would put on a page in terms of like quantity of information. But boy, this guy does it good. Man, that is great. I like detailed art, but I like maybe more of a Mignola type what would you call it, like a quantity of objects, not as extreme as Mignola, but this is like J.G. Jones would draw like this. I'm trying to think of some artists, J.H. Williams, you know, where they really fill a page. There's rarely any kind of like like the negative space is generally filled with more stuff. He shows a demo of him painting in with ink this bottom panel on his Instagram. It's nuts. It's really, really crazy. He did like a time lapse, but man, it was just absolutely insane. And he uses a really interesting technique to protect his page. So when he was inking this bottom thing, for most of the time he had these panels open where you could see them in pencil, and it looks like he may transfer his thumbnails onto the board somehow. I don't know if he uses a light box or projector, but he gets his stuff down onto the big board. But there'll be a point where he'll actually cover up the art. He cuts out the panel, and then he'll put like masking tape around it, and then he'll ink like a savage, like inside of the panel. Or like in the instance of this piece, he was inking this, but he goes in and he inks this middle area with these pages all taped up. It's just really interesting to see. I've never really masked off my pages, except for if I'm going to do splatter, I'll do it. But, and I'll say too that this stuff looked good to me over the weekend, but looking at it right now, it's even looking better. So this guy is a grower. He's a shower and a grower. God dang, this is nuts. Yeah, he's really good. But if you look at his early work, I mean, you can definitely tell that he was vibing on Travis big time. Which is understandable, you know, because Travis is really good. Mr. Charest. And I have quite a bit of black and white art we're going to look at then. This isn't going to be a super long video, but I just wanted to kind of dip my toe in this. This is a nice way for me to start my morning and kind of get fired up to attack my page. So you know, but he has similarities to me to like Riccardo Federici and Louis LaRosa, where their stuff is comics. It's clearly comic art, but there is a level of realism, and I don't know if it's that they use maybe reference for their people a little bit more, but it's not as like stylized as like a Jim Lee head or a Mark Silvestri head, where those clearly look like that they come from a comic, like, I don't know, source wouldn't be the right word, but like his has a more it's not realistic, but I think you get what I'm saying. There's like more planes and more rounded planes on the faces, like this. Mark Silvestri is an example. It would be like harder edges and stuff like that. Man, this is beautiful. This looks like my plumber that we used to have. He was a wrestler, like a professional wrestler. Dude was huge. He could be in this comic for sure. Man, that's so good. Really happy to see him having the following that he's built now, because it really was perplexing. I've had this happen a few times where I'll find someone online that's really, really good, and I can't understand why more people don't know about him. There was someone that I found on DeviantArt, and I remember going like, oh, it was Andy Braz. I remember, and I wrote him, and I said, dude, your stuff is amazing. I have no idea why more people don't know of you, but he picked up a lot of steam. I mean, Andy's very, very popular now, but yeah, when I originally saw his stuff, I mean, he had a very modest following for the quality of work that he was doing, but you know, I reached out to him and wanted to tell him like, hey, you're doing all the right things, keep it up. This guy didn't need it though. He was already popular, I think. Going into Call is spelled, I think, Khaal. And that's his first book, and it's kind of like, looks like Meta Baron. And then he did Meta Baron. And then he's done this. It looks to me like he's maybe doing 2 books a year. I could be off on that, but these aren't super long. I don't remember these being 60 pages. This is still from Conan. I grabbed a decent amount. This is the first issue of Conan, but again, there's 4. Man, that's great. There was a painter that I really liked that was like that. I'll never remember his name right now, but I remember seeing his work online and going like, dude, this guy is insane. Like he should be like everyone should know who this person is. And he completely dropped off the grid. I don't know what happened to him. If he works under a different name, it was not comic art, but really really good painter. He shows this piece too in black and white. It's really interesting, and it was interesting to me too. One of the reasons that I'm enjoying looking at his stuff is he although this coloring effect is very different than what I want on my stuff. He's doing stuff like this where there's things fading where it goes to like a color fade, but you've got black art that slowly loses its line art, and it's really difficult in just pen and ink to think that way because the final ink drawing is all this stuff literally drawn, so it doesn't have the atmosphere that you're imagining in your mind if you want it like misty, like a misty day. And you can do it a little bit through here, but yeah, you know. And so it the finished art, unless you blast it with like whiteout, is never going to have that effect, but you can do it that way. I mean, I like splatter. This is the Dan Panosian cover, variant cover. They did a whole bunch of variant covers on these for some reason. I really like this bottom panel a lot. Man, it's nice. Wow, that's crazy. This is so much work. So much work. Okay, so here's some of his pen and ink stuff. And this is a lot of work too. And you know, the amazing thing, and I think he recognized the fact that although because of I think his interest in Travis's art, he approached this way. Now he may have other influences too, but this definitely looks like he was going for some Travisisms. What you realize is when this stuff is shrunk down and then colored, a lot of this line work really does sort of vanish. And unless you're going to do a black and white version of the book, you know, it's you know, you're spending hours and hours rendering like stuff in here or down here, and it really isn't going to print. Some will, some won't. These are really cool pencil studies. Les Spectres. Spawn. These are some prelims for his Call cover. And you can see how Call kind of has a Meta Baron vibe. I mean, you put the thing on his ear, it's basically the Meta Baron. Meta Baron meets Star Trek. I don't know. He's kind of reminding me of Star Trekkers. This is kind of this is kind of Adam Hughesy. This right here. It's nice. Abe Sapien? I don't know. Alright, let's continue. Oh, so this is early stuff. So this was the first stuff that I saw of his. This was like for something, maybe, I don't know if it was an independent thing that he did, but this is before Call, this is before Meta Baron, this is before the Conan stuff. And I mean, I was sold. I saw this and I was like, man, this guy is really good. There's a few of them in here. Look at this. I mean, this looks like a page right from Travis's Meta Baron book, you know. And he did this when he was probably 24, somewhere between probably 22 and 24 years old. This is high level shit. This is the level of detail that I like in terms of like quantity of stuff on a page, though. I think that this reads easier than those like mega packed panels, but it's all personal taste, you know. There's no right or wrong to it. But yeah, this stuff is nuts. To be applying washes and stuff like, and it could be gouache or something like that. I don't know what he's painting it in, but yeah, pretty crazy, pretty crazy. And then the pen and ink stuff. This was he did this a few years ago. I can't remember what it was exactly for. Apparently, the Doberman Pinscher is turned into a half-human. Like, I like his stance. He's like, I'm gonna get Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma. I'm the big bad wolf. Yeah, it clearly has a Red Riding Hood vibe. Little Struzan. Again, this is super old for him. I mean, again, he was barely out of his 20s, or barely into his 20s when he did this. Based on when I saw it, because that stuff was up years ago. This is from, I'm going to say Call. It could be Meta Baron. I don't think this is Conan. I don't know. Oh, this is call. These aren't the best scans, but you know, you get the idea. These are very, very busy pages, which is kind of what he leans towards now. Is a lot of quantity of objects in a page. Oh, and here's the colors. It's nice. Ah, it's a great pose. Man, this is psycho. Look at that poll. Most rendered poll ever. But boy, he was putting in the work on this stuff. This would take a while. This is most similar to what Travis was doing at the end of his Wildcats run. A little bit of X-Men Wildcats, and then the stuff that we did. Although we didn't have the time to put in this much rendering everywhere, but similar. Kind of like towards when Travis would only do a couple of pages in each issue of Wildcats towards the end of Series 1, Volume 1. The late 20s, early 30 issues. He'd do like 4 pages, but they would be rendered more like this. Pretty cool, right? I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen this. I know a lot of you do follow him now. Just when I went and was checking out his Instagram, it will tell me, like, I mean, I wasn't looking, but I mean, it always will say, like, oh, these friends like it, or I would see posts with names that I recognized liking his posts, so it was cool. He didn't even have Instagram, honestly, a while back. It was kind of, I was like, come on, dude. All he had was a blog. Very rendery planets. Sorry, we should be getting towards the end of this. There's another kind of Muka meets Struzen. Strumuka. Muzrin. This is him when he was a kid. Self-portrait. He's done a few. It's kind of like in here, it's almost got a little bit of like some of earlier Frazetta. This is like a book cover or something he did. Maybe there may be more. Well, there's definitely more scans of it. I can't remember if this is the whole piece or not. But yeah, all traditional art. He works slightly oversized sometimes. Some beautiful hand studies here. These are really, really nice. And these are old. Pretty sure, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's a date. I can't read what it says. It's the Meta Baron. So one thing he's been doing more lately is he has been doing a little bit of like a curvilinear, like 2 and 3 point perspective. So it's not uncommon now to see him actually like torquing the perspective on his things. But if you notice, if you're interested in doing this, I'll point this out just really fast so that people get it. Like, do you see like this side is curving up? This side he flattens it out though, because the thing is well, it is actually curved up here. You have to be careful because there's a kind of a breaking point to perspective where things will look weird. But it's interesting that he kept this fairly like lined up and then this curving. I guess the vanishing point would be it's curving into here, so it would be down here somewhere. But it's 3 point perspective basically is what he's got going on, just with a curved slope to it. But it looks real nice. But he's been using it a lot more. Look at this. And the dude, he's crazy. He'll go in and like ink this from this, and just like he puts shadows, and you're like, how do you even know where the light's coming from? I mean, he may have a fairly detailed study that he's referring back to, so he knows. But there's a more recent clip of him painting a floor, like a Moroccan floor for maybe a Conan cover or pinup or something. It's absolutely nuts. Here we go. This is pretty standard lighting though on this, honestly. He's just got a little bit of cast shadows under here. That's not like very like not as complex as some of the stuff that he's doing now. But again, this was 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer. So he's definitely upped his game. This was nice. This is an older piece too. But yeah, I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. It's he's well worth checking out, and if you like what you see in the video, you definitely won't be disappointed with his work. It's good stuff. Kia. Some more of the studies. Big Boss. These are really nice drawings, though. Honestly, this was a really pretty piece. Hummingbirds. I thought this looked really nice. Shows like how good he is of just a painter. And this is very old. Again, this is almost like his like college years. But really, really beautiful. This is oldie too. Thumbnail, or I don't know if this would necessarily be his thumbnail, but this was like the refined thumbnail, and then he'll light box this, or he transfers this to his board, and then he'll do the pencils again. Then he inks it for real. But you could see how this could help alleviate any sort of doubt when you're going into things. This almost looks like a John Paul Leon page finished, you know, in a way. Like this up here. Here's the finished piece, but look how much more detail he puts. It's got almost a Gerard Zaffino kind of vibe going with this guy's face. It's good shit. This is from Call. I need to go and actually... Oh, look at this. I know people like this that are into Batman, but... all the Europeans think that Batman doesn't stand a chance against the Meta Baron, so you guys can fight it out in the comment section. It's a great Batman, though. Really, really, really good. And he did short ears. I tend to go for long ears on Batman, although I've never really done a drawing of Batman, or very few that I like. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I should try short ears. Maybe that's the problem. This is pretty crazy. Man, he's good. It's interesting because I don't actually know what pen he used to render this. It could be like a Copic multiliner. It looks thicker than the pens that I would use to ink this type of stuff. But that said, the pens that I use look great in person, and you can show off online and show people how thin your lines are. But, you know, there's a risk when you use 6-0 pen that it's not going to show up great shrunk down and colored. But we always worked for the original. Careful. Close your eyes if you're sensitive to alien nudity. Some splatter. I did notice he splattered on that double page spread that I was talking about with the where he put the, what do you call it, like I don't even know the name because I don't ever do it, like transfer paper over it so that he wouldn't get ink in the panels and stuff that he didn't want to work on. He does splatter a little bit, not a lot, but there's a couple of times where you'll see him go for a splatter if you watch the video of him inking it. It's well worth watching. It's really, really interesting. I spent about 30 minutes on his Instagram the other night checking out the videos. It was really fun. Inspiring, you know. Man, this is cool. I like when he puts more shadow, to be honest. I think that this stuff has a little bit more of a punch, and he's still getting a little bit of that nice rendering in here, but this reads clearer, and it really will look actually better in the comic book, honestly. You know, comics really look good with black ink and like some rendering. You get too liney on stuff, it doesn't hold up as well. It's, you know, there's a certain, that's why we've talked about this on the channel before. We'll use this as an outro. Yeah, comic book art, one of the reasons that it doesn't generally look great colored from pencil and one of the reasons that painted comic books don't have the same punch of inked comics is there's something about pencils to inks to colors that has a presence that other approaches don't seem to have. Now there's, again, personal choice and aesthetics that you like will shift that. But you know, after I see 10 or 15 pages of a painted comic, unless it's really really bold stuff, it does start to kind of feel a little like wallpaper to me. And digital comics, meaning the digitally painted comics, like concept art type stuff. Concept art is beautiful and it always looks great as single images. I think as a comic book, it ultimately for me suffers the same fate of traditionally painted comic, is that they feel a little soft or a little like one note, like the dynamic range isn't there. I don't know why. You can argue in the comments section with me and fight for your opinion on it, but I don't know, there's something about it, and it's like I'm not nostalgic to any sort of particular thing. I love digital art, and so it's nothing against it, and I always say that in some ways I like concept art even more, just because I like all the different ideas. But anyway, all right, you guys have a great day. That's Valentin Secher, and he is awesome. So get out there, draw. Don't let this guy discourage you. Again, it's like you almost have to put a, like, you know, user caution on Riccardo Federici, Louis LaRosa, and Secher videos, because they're so damn good that it can kind of play with you, because it's not easy to draw at the level that this guy is doing. That is for sure. Sorry, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.